Everyone wants you to be a slave. I had a terrifying conversation with my cousin a few months ago. It was my 23rd birthday, and as I was about to blow out the candles, she looked at me and said, "This is your last birthday without working." Not only was I insulted, but I looked at her right in the eyes and I said, "I will never work on my birthday." And she was shocked. Which begs the question, why does everyone want us to be a slave? We formulated this idea that work somehow means that you must be employed by someone else. If I'm working for myself, if I'm making YouTube videos, if I'm doing martial arts, or I'm being creative, or I'm doing something that isn't necessarily defined by a 9 to 5, all of a sudden, we're not working. So why does society have this expectation that we're supposed to work for someone else? Where did it come from? I'm sure many of you watching are young adults, and the institution that many of us have come to love is really to blame for this worker bee mentality. Let's take a look at college. We've spent, I spent the last 4 years at my university, and at a certain point, I became accustomed to this 9 to 5-ish lifestyle. You go to class, you get homework, the teacher tells you what to do, and you turn in your assignments, which I guess is great because you end up getting a degree, but what it programs you into is a organized model of behavior. So once you graduate college, you become accustomed to working in this very set lifestyle, and you immediately join the workforce. But that's a bunch of bullshit. Why am I supposed to be okay with just becoming another worker like everyone else? I thought this education system that I had been a part of was supposed to let me flourish, let me become more beautiful and more interesting, but instead we're left with the only result, which is becoming a slave. And yes, that sounds a little bit extreme, but what does work look like in the 21st century? For most people, it's Monday through Friday, it's 9 to 5. Do you know how many hours a 9 to 5 is? Let's see. Well, I gotta count this up. So 9, 10, 11, 12, and then plus 5. So we would say that's like 9 hours of work, which is ridiculous. And let alone most people that are doing their work don't actually enjoy their jobs. There's tons of kids who are either accountants, they're marketing majors. I'm a marketing major. They're people that are involved in career paths that don't align with their spiritual energy. So what good is working that job going to do other than providing a basic means of sustaining yourself? It does nothing. And this misalignment, this desire to just be okay with safety is what creates slavery. It's what keeps us working the same jobs until we're 60, graduating with student debt and saying this is how things should be. But we're at a point where the system is beginning to fall apart. And this is where we have the opportunity to cut ourselves free of these chains. You may look at your peers around you, the ones who shit on you for having creative instincts, for wanting to pursue something outside of the norm, the ones that took the safe path. They're all walking towards unemployment. So now is your time to take back the power and realize that doing what you want and aligning with your true character are what will allow you to freedom. As of recent, I've come to this discovery in myself. I have been a consulting major. I was pipelined to work at Deloitte or some Big Four company to take on some corporate job. But my inner nature has always been to be creative. I'm a theater kid. I love expressing myself. I love making videos. I love being on camera. I'm selfish. So I'm taking a different path. And in doing so, I'm taking a risk. But if you look at your peers or people who are older than you, and especially your teachers, they're not encouraging of things that are outside of the norm. We've begun to prioritize safety as a society because that's what's worked in the past. But now our whole playing field is unsafe. Your job opportunity that you were guaranteed no longer exists. So what's the point of playing with comfort? What's the point of not doing what you love? And this is where it really stings, because the person who should love and support me, my older cousin, was trying to degrade me and tell me that I should be working on my birthday. Like, why do we want this outcome for each other? Why do we want this outcome for our family members? It's almost like there's this sense of resentment and anger towards anyone that doesn't want to take a conventional path because it's somehow selfish. But that's the fucked up thing. The system has told us that selfishness is wrong. We're supposed to be a compliant worker bee for some dude that takes 99% of your fucking margins. That's selfish. This selfishness that we've been commodified into is stealing your labor, your monetary value. And I read some crazy statistic the other day that the average value of a human life is worth around $10 million. Guess what the average salary is? It's not even 100,000. You could work your whole life and not even be worth your real value. So come on. Why are we okay with this system? It's more important than ever to identify the few people who don't want you sold into slavery, the peers that encourage you, that believed in you when you had no following, no money, and you were just playing with your ideas. I'll take, for example, my friend Indio. He's always encouraged me to find my voice, to create content. I'm even thankful for my own dad for being encouraging towards my own YouTube videos. But there's hundreds and hundreds of people that will not give you that support. And you have to learn to silence those voices, even when you have no evidence that what you're doing is gonna work. Like, I'll be honest, like, I have no idea. I'm talking to my phone in my living room and I'm unemployed and I'm scared. But you have to take a chance at greatness. You have to take a chance at being unsafe. So find those 3 to 4 peers around you that have a little bit of that self-delusion and commodify yourself into it. Allow it to be your basis for resilience. And that is where you will become constructive. So maybe it's a skill. Maybe you're good at writing. Maybe you're good at videography. Maybe you actually are good at entrepreneurship. You have to guide yourself towards those that encourage your self-delusion. And while doing this, you will feel selfish. You'll feel like, man, why am I so self-aggrandizing? Like, I should just take the safe path. I don't really understand what I'm doing. But that uncertainty is the feeling that you should seek after. That is the feeling that creates greatness. So don't let school extinguish your fire. Don't let those family members who tell you you're being stupid. Don't let those friends who say, come on, man, do something realistic, get inside your head. Shut it out. Become delusional. Become your own champion. Because that is the only way out of the modern economy. That is your real way to success.